Hear me okay? Oh wait, now you're
Yeah.
on. There you
Yeah,
are.
hold on. Just I think it's on my phone too. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Good?
Good, good. Well, welcome. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
I know. Wait, is this filming right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna upload it to the
Okay,
channel.
so
So
so we're rolling right now.
we're rolling. We're rolling.
Oh, okay.
Guys, welcome back to, I guess this is episode 4. This is going to be episode 4 of the Iron Sharpens Iron series, where it's Lauren. The purpose of this series is just to really get people on here who I know love bodybuilding, love physique sports, love strength sports in general, and pick their brains, kind of get a more in-depth look of
Hmm.
the sport we love, kind of from the horse's mouth. There's a lot of very surface things that get covered with diet, nutrition, but I really kind of want to dig a little bit deeper into people who I respect, who I know love the sport, who I know really kind of make this a lifestyle. Because I think a lot
Yeah.
of people out there are really starting to get interested in bodybuilding and stuff because of how social media is nowadays. But I don't think a lot of people really understand what goes into this and what real commitment is needed. So I like to bring people on here and kind of pick their brains a little bit on how they do things and the way they think, because we think in a different way than people.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people understand the preparation, the mental strength that it takes to do things day in and day out when you don't want to do them.
Hmm.
When you don't know if it's really going to pay off or not, you have to have that trust in it and stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining. I've had
No,
some mail.
thank you for having me. Seriously, thank you. And you can
Well,
definitely pick my brain.
I love it. I've had some good male
Oh my God.
perspectives so far. You got your coffee too?
Yeah, I got my coffee.
I just got done training, and I don't know why. I just like a good cup of coffee after training. A lot of people like caffeine beforehand, and I don't know why. I like caffeine after. It's weird, but so anyways, I've had some really interesting male guests on, and really like a female's perspective on it, especially an IFBB pro bikini competitor. You
Hmm.
also have your bachelor's in health sciences,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
From University of South Florida.
Yep. Yeah, I graduated last year actually. So, yay.
I know it feels good to be done, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my master's in December, and I just never thought it was going to end, and it finally did. And now I'm like, geez, where'd the time go?
Yeah.
So
Well, I had
it does allow you. Go ahead.
I know. No, yeah, like I had my business and I was thriving in that. And then I just had a couple more semesters left of school. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna regret it if I do not just go ahead and just finish this. So
Right,
I was,
absolutely.
yeah, last year, like I was in prep, I was doing my team calls my bodies, my coaching, and then I was trying to finish up school too. So it was a lot, but I'm so happy that I'm now done. So yeah.
Yes, it's worth it. I know that, um, when I first started going back to school for exercise science, I didn't have nearly the workload that I had the final year. Clients picked up, other responsibilities picked up, and it seems like a lot, but you're right. You would kick yourself if you didn't just finish it, and you find a way to
Yeah.
put up with it. And I think that's actually, I wasn't even going to go there with this, but I think that your your lifestyle, your mentality as a bikini competitor, as a bodybuilder,
Hmm.
really probably helped you with the organization, with just knowing, what,
Oh,
there's going to be some
definitely.
long nights, there's going to be some hard work, but this is what has to be done. And I think that's one of the values of this lifestyle that we love, is
Hmm.
that there's so much discipline. You have to, if you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
get to the level where you're at, if you want to get to any level, you have to have that discipline and commitment and stuff. And so I know that you and I have known each other for what, 3 years now, 17, yeah, about 3 years. We
Yeah.
at Suncoast in St.
I
Pete.
know. I'm back. I'm back at Suncoast. So I trained there in 2017. And good things happened in that gym. I won my pro card in that gym.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I moved back to Tampa. I was training at Powerhouse. And now Kyle and I, we just bought a house here in St. Pete. So I'm back at Suncoast again, which I love that gym. I mean, it's awesome in there.
It really is. I had Will Graziano on to the channel about a month or so ago. And, it's really funny because Tampa is such a really good hub for athletes, for people in the fitness industry. And it seems like there's a big handful of us that started at Suncoast. I mean, now you got Derek Lunsford over there training. I mean, it's
so motivating
definitely
when he's in the gym with me. It is so motivating. I just look over at him and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta get to work here.
Well, I just had by the time this airs, obviously the episode will air, but I just had John Jewett on. And I told him, I was like, of all the physiques that are out competing right now, him, Derek Lunsford, Steve Kuklo, and Evan Centopani are probably my favorites, just from my own personal standpoint. And I've seen Derek in a couple times at Powerhouse because now I'm over here training at Powerhouse. But now I see him going into Suncoast all the time. And I tell anybody, hands down, my favorite gym in the whole area, the whole Tampa Bay area, St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, whatever, is still Suncoast Fitness. Which is, to anybody that's listening to this, I know it's not going to mean anything, but it was an old Gold's that changed names.
There's just history there. There's history there. That's what's so cool. I mean, there's a bunch of old people that train there, but they're all awesome. Like, I love looking around. I'm like, wow, look at these people. Like, yes, they're older, but they're in there. I mean, it's the same people in 2017, the same freaking people. But yeah, I mean, there's history there. I mean, I know Will was a janitor there, like in the beginning, and it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to get back, and I know we talked about it off camera and stuff as far as going back and getting some training in and getting some stuff done. But God, I wish I could make the drive over there every day for that gym. Still, you know what my favorite piece of equipment is there that I can't find anywhere else? It's that Cybex squat press.
Leg press. Yeah, the leg press. I know, that is my favorite. That's what I'm doing right now for a squat movement, and yeah, it's awesome.
For any of you guys that don't know this machine, look it up. There's something about the angle. There's something about just how your body fits into it. It's very like ergonomically pleasant. But okay, so enough about that. We could go on about that gym for hours.
We haven't catched up in a while. Sorry.
We haven't. Yeah, sorry guys. We're gonna ramble a little bit. But like I mentioned, I met Lauren and her boyfriend Kyle, who she just mentioned a little bit ago, back in 2017, and it was actually roughly probably about 8 to 12 weeks before you competed at NPC Nationals. I want to say it's somewhere around that.
Probably was
somewhere in that fall, because I know that you had either just started prep or you were pretty close kind of in the beginning there and everything. And it was really refreshing because, like she just mentioned, there's a lot of old people that trained at the same time that we did. So to actually see two other individuals in there that love to train was very refreshing. And so, we kind of struck up a conversation and acquaintance and everything. It's kind of grown into a good friendship. And, but I know that you haven't always been into bodybuilding. It's something that I think relatively new. I mean, I know you've been doing it for a while now, but you didn't pick it up early in life. You kind of picked it up a little bit later, right?
Well, yes, like lifting weights and getting in the gym and that type of stuff. Yes. But my whole life, I have been an athlete. I mean, all of the sports in middle school and high school, and I've always been working, either I'm running or was running outside. I was really into track and cross country. And then, in 2014, that's when I got into, or 2013, 2014, that's when I started training with Kyle, and he brought me into the gym. I started squatting and deadlifting, and I started taking like all of that energy that I was going towards running and sprinting and all that. And I just brought all of that into the gym. And that's when I really started seeing my body like transform. And then I just totally like threw running off aside. And I'm like, I love this. I love lifting in the gym.
I think that's really important for women of all ages to hear, because I know, you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You can tell me if it was or not, but I think it's very daunting for women to give up that cardio and get into the gym. I mean, first of all, they probably don't know what they're doing, right? I mean, and that would be anybody that's new into the gym, not just women, men too. So especially then having someone like Kyle who started you squatting and deadlifting, things that are very foreign to you. You could have been very standoffish with that.
Oh, definitely.
But it sounds like you were very accepting of it. And did you kind of know at that point that you maybe wanted to start competing, or was this just, you know, my boyfriend's in here doing this, I want to do something with him different? Or when was that mindset that, you know what, I'm going to start training to compete? How did that come about?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. In the beginning, like the first like year and a half, I was just in there in the gym. I didn't know really anything about bodybuilding. I think then I started going on Instagram and I started seeing competitors and I started following competitors. And then that's what kind of triggered my mind going, oh, whoa, I could try this out. And actually, Kyle persuaded me to do it. So he kind of like built me up for the stage one day. So I think in his back of his mind, he kind of maybe knew that I was going to do this. So yeah, I started lifting, and I always stayed pretty lean too. Like my first competition, I think I only lost like 12 pounds just because I've always been pretty lean just because of my running background and everything. But yeah, I think that's when it happened. I mean, I remember I was training at like LA Fitness over in Tyrone. That was like my gym that I was training
over on
at.
22nd.
Yeah, yeah.
22nd, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was just like, let's do it. You know, let's find a coach. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this thing.
Nice.
Kind of how it happened.
Just kind of fell into it. And I think that's probably, I think that in the long run, that's probably a good thing that you fell in love with the gym first, right?
Yeah.
Like you fell in love with the process of just training to train. Whereas I see a lot of people, I'm sure you guys get inquiries, I get inquiries where it's like, hey, you know, I just started training. I really want to do a competition, blah, blah, blah stuff. Well, and I explained to them, like, have you been to a competition yet? Like, have you actually spent enough time in the gym? Do you like training? And I think that's a very important part for people to listen to that you just said, is that you got into the gym because you loved it. You had fun lifting, probably setting new strength PRs along the way.
Oh yeah, got stronger. I mean, I got stronger in the hip thrust and my squat, and I used to sumo deadlift a lot back then. And I think that's why I wanted to do the competition thing, is because I wanted to have a goal. Just like when I was running cross country and track and everything, I was so ready to, I want a goal, I want a date, I want to work towards something. But yeah, before ever doing the competition, like there is qualities that you need before jumping into a prep right away. I mean, the nutrition side of things, training. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a perfect segue. It was something I was going to touch on later on, but I like these kind of organic conversations. So we're just going to dig right into it. What would be your number one, I don't know, suggestion or advice or whatever, but what would you tell someone that is wanting to compete for the first time? And we'll obviously use bikini competitors because it's a little bit more relevant for you, that maybe took you by surprise during your first prep, something that maybe you wish you would have known, whether it be diet wise, training, hair, makeup, posing, whatever it may be. What would be your number one suggestion for a new competitor to really, really hone in on?
Yeah, well, it's honestly, I wanted to talk about this. It definitely would be the posing side of things because, oh my gosh, me growing up, I was such a tomboy. I never wore heels. I never put on makeup and did up my hair, and I never did dance or anything like that. So for my first show, I didn't practice posing at all, like at all. I did not even put on my heels once. I totally focused on my nutrition and my training side of things. And then when it came to show day, I was like, whoa, this is like foreign to me. What I have to do, I have to get up on in heels on the stage. And oh
Right.
my gosh, I watched my past videos and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like,
You're like,
even
wait,
at
this was
the
a part of the whole thing? No one told me about that.
oh my gosh, even at the national level, I mean, I thought I was doing it correctly when I look back at past videos of me, not even close. Like, seriously, I'm like, what am I doing? It's still a struggle today for me. Like, posing is still a struggle for me, but that is like the main thing is day one, knowing if you're going to get ready for this competition, like you have to start posing right away. You need to go get help from somebody because
Right.
there's so much that goes into it with the front pose and how to nail that correctly, plus the transitioning from the front to the back.
There's so
Proper
many little
stage edit.
intricacies to it.
Oh gosh, I mean, that is absolutely huge.
And
Seriously.
guys, if males are listening to this, same thing holds true for us too. Okay,
Oh yeah.
like you can have fantastic muscle definition, right? You can have fantastic lines, all this stuff. If you don't know how to present it, game over. Like you just wasted that entire prep because of it. And something that I'm sure, hopefully, if they haven't been, they are going to start following you. People that follow my channel, but one thing you guys got to know is that Lauren poses all the time. Like she is constantly posing in her off season. I mean, it's like at least once a week I see photos or video or photos, and I know you're doing it more because I saw her in the mirror room at Suncoast doing it all the time, and I know she still keeps that up. And it's important because I think that leads into understanding what this lifestyle is like, right? Your mentality, your mindset, everything you do with your diet, everything you do with your training, everything you do with your rest and recovery, your supplementation, stuff like that, is geared towards building the best body and best physique you possibly can. This isn't a 16-week thing for you, right? This is a 365 24/7 thing for you. And I think that's what's really, really separates true competitive bodybuilders away from people that just enjoy being in the gym, right? And they just want to get on a stage once to get photos, right? And this is what this series is kind of geared towards, is to get people like yourself, like John Jewett, like Luke, like a few other people that I have. I've got Alberto Nunez coming on, to get these people that understand and can portray this lifestyle and what's actually needed in order to get to the level where you're at. And, the first show that I actually ever saw you in was the 2017 NPC Nationals, which, I'll let you expand upon that in a little bit, but you obviously won. You took the overall, and you got your pro card at that show, which is, if you guys don't understand the importance of NPC Nationals and how huge that is, I mean, equivalent to a Super Bowl, I don't know, like maybe in this world and stuff. But I know that obviously was not your first show, and you had many, many other shows before that led you up to that point. Let's go through a little bit of that history with how many times you competed prior to becoming a pro, and kind of what the feedback process was from the judges each time that you expanded upon. Because I think that a lot of people, they might go into a show, they might not place the way that they want to place, right? But they don't take the time to go get the feedback from the judges. And I know at NPC Nationals, Sandy gave you some great feedback, which in turn led you to take a year and a half off before making your pro debut. And the results really showed. But as far as your shows leading up to winning your pro card, how many were there, and what was the most valuable lessons you learned up until getting your pro card?
Yeah, so my first shows that I ever did was in 2015, and I did 2 shows just to see if I liked it. Obviously, I freaking loved it, right? But after my second show, I did get nationally qualified. So and this is when I was living in Colorado at the time, and I was like, ooh, I want to go do a national show now. Like, I want to try and keep going. But then my
Right.
boyfriend at the time, like, sat me down and was like, hey, if you want to be a pro, we have to make sure we have a pro, physique here. We need to build. We need to build your glutes and your lats and your delts. And we need to probably take 2 years off from competing. And at the time, I was like, what? Oh my gosh, 2 years?
Earth
That's,
shattering.
oh my gosh, I know. But honestly, those 2 years flew by, and I really just focused on the training side of things and nutrition, but obviously getting stronger. I mean, I actually used to train with Alberto Nunez. He was at my gym that I used to train at in Colorado. And I was like hip thrusting in there. Like, I got up to like 315, and I thought that was awesome. And then finally I was ready to compete again. And then, so I hit the stage in 2017, and I did one regional show because I had to get nationally qualified again for
Mm-hmm.
nationals. So I ended up doing that, and I won the overall at my regional show. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, I feel like I am ready to go to a national stage now. Um, and so I ended up doing 4 national shows until I got my pro card. So I was dieting for almost a year because I started
Yeah.
prep in January and then I ended in November. And one thing about me is I just don't freaking give up, like, at
Yeah.
all.
No, you're a
So
machine. I know it firsthand. You're a machine and it's awesome.
but my willpower was so high because I
Right.
did take 2 years off from dieting and competing. So I was like so ready to go all in. And so I kept getting into first call out at all of the shows, but I was just always like so close to getting the pro card, like so close. And definitely learned so much at each show,
Right.
mainly like the posing side of things. But then, yeah, I just kept going and going because I wanted it so bad and I just didn't give up. And then it finally happened at NPC Nationals. And yeah, that's like my history there of
That's
getting my pro
awesome.
card. Yeah.
I think I'm really glad that you touched on the fact that you actually did become nationally qualified in 15 and then took 2 years off. Now, I know because I talk to them all the time, females get freaked out by taking time off. What was, after you got through with the initial shock of, oh crap, like I have to
Hmm.
take 2 years off, what helped you set that mindset that, this might take 2 years, but did you set certain strength benchmarks along the way to try to hit, to keep yourself, involved and excited about training? Because we all know it can get very monotonous at times. You're doing the same things over and over and over. What were some of
Hmm.
the things that helped you, from a mental standpoint, understand that, okay, I'm not stepping on the stage for 2 more years, but I have to keep myself fully engaged? What was that
Yeah.
for you?
So I think when I was done competing for those 2 shows, I felt like I got into the gym and I had a purpose now. I was like, wow, you know what? I'm an NPC bikini competitor and I have a purpose. Like, I want to get my pro card. And
Right.
so I took my training so seriously. I did not skip training sessions because I wanted to take those 2 years and not waste any time because I wanted to come back in 2017 and like dominate. I wanted to come back,
Right.
blow my past physique out of the water and just be like, wow, that is a huge transformation right there. So every gym session, I was just so freaking excited to get in there and
Mm-hmm.
progress and make improvements. And I was getting stronger in all of my lifts. And like every time I was doing my hip thrust, I was just like, how bad do you want your glutes to look up on that
I
stage in
love that.
2017? Like, you want your glutes to look awesome. And that's literally what I would tell myself before every single set and literally every single rep in the gym. It's just because that all adds up. Every gym session, every training session adds up.
Absolutely. You had the long-term vision that a lot of people lack. It's hard. You know where you want to go, but it's hard to stay focused on that and kind of like almost deconstruct it backwards. Like, this is the end goal. This is what I see and I know I want to look like. What do I have to do, and take steps backwards and break it down into sections like that? And, you know, and I mean this in an absolute respectful and way, but I was almost intimidated at first to come talk to you at the gym because you are so zoned in. You are so focused.
Very
and
zoned
guys, if you don't think bikini competitors take training seriously, you got to go train in a gym with Lauren. All right. I didn't think that I could ever find a female that would have like that kind of face and focus that I have until I saw Lauren train. And it's amazing because everything she does is very detailed. Okay. There's a purpose to every single movement she does. Everything from her warm up through, you know, her cardio, her posing, training, and the cool down. It's a very step-by-step methodical process. And I think that's been one of your biggest attributes and biggest keys to your success. Now let's go to NPC Nationals. Okay. You win the overall. It was a great night. Fantastic night. What did Sandy tell you at that? As far as what kind of feedback did she give you? And was she the only one? I'm sure there was other judges that probably gave you some more feedback too, right? But what was the big thing that, you know, the NPC National overall winner, who's now a bikini pro, needs to work on?
Yes. So I remember she coming up to me at the end of the night, and she told me that, you know, legs were awesome. Like I had the backside, I had the conditioning, but what I really needed to improve on is my upper body. And previously, I've had bad shoulder impingements in the past from actually not having proper technique when I was younger in the gym, and doing movements that weren't good for me and just how I'm built and my biomechanics and stuff. And I've always have had shoulder issues. And I got in like a car accident. Like I've been in 2 different car accidents. And so I actually had to take some time off from lifting upper body in like 2016, actually. I had to take like 8 weeks off from training upper body. So that was my biggest thing that I need to improve on. And she told me right away, she's just like, you need bigger shoulders. You need bigger, fuller upper body. So that's why in 2000 and so right after 2017, I took all of 2018 off and just focusing on really improving the upper body because, you know, that was the feedback that she told me that I needed to obviously do.
Okay. What was the first pro show you competed in? Was it Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh Pro.
Yeah. So that's I actually have a client of mine that's going to be competing in that this year too. So I'm excited to go out to that show. So how did that first pro show go for you? How did it go placing wise, but more importantly, how did it go, as far as mentally preparing for it, the whole process, and then the result from it coming out of it?
Yeah. So Kyle ended up taking over my prep. This was the first time he coached me through a contest prep. And it's such a great experience. Really, really took care of me through the whole time because I did 8 freaking shows last year.
Yeah, it was a busy 2019.
We just did some new things. We did diet breaks. He fed me more than I've ever had been fed through a contest prep. And going into that show, I was just like really, really excited. And I wanted to pick a big show. I'm like, because you know how there's tiers to it.
Right.
There's like smaller pro shows that are lower tiered. And then the big ones are Pittsburgh, New York,
Chicago.
Toronto. Yeah, I think Chicago is. So those are like a big Tampa Pro is a top tiered show as well. Like a 16-point show or whatever. So I was like, I want to go in and just see where I stand.
Yeah.
So that's
throw yourself
why
into the fire.
Yeah, because head judges are there. The head judges are there. I mean, it's Sandy, it's Tyler. I think Steve was there. I mean, these are all judges that judge the Olympia. So I'm like, why not see where I stand? So in that show, I ended up placing in the top 10. I think I got like 8th place, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Which I got into second call outs, and I got center of second call outs. And the feedback at that show was bigger upper body. So I was like, no, oh my gosh, are you serious? Because these girls now, I mean, when you're competing at the pro level, wow. I mean, everybody is on point. Everybody is amazing, huge. I mean, they got cap delts. Everybody in first call out cap delts.
Well, let's move right into that then. What should people, younger bikini competitors, people trying to get their pro card, things like that, what should they know that the judges look for now? Because bikini's changed a lot since even 5 years ago. It's a completely different ball game now. So what would be your advice? What would be, if you were a judge talking to a younger bikini competitor, what would you tell them that they mostly need to focus on in order to get their pro card, place well in a pro show? What's the physique requirements now?
Yeah, so you always need to go look at the standard. I mean, who's the standard right now? It's Issa, and then there was Angelica, which, I mean, if you look at Issa's physique, I mean, she is incredible. I mean, it's almost cartoon-ish. I don't think anybody could have a waist that freaking small. So
it's impressive.
I know. So in bikini, it's really about having that hourglass shape now. It is just, they want a big, full upper body, capped delts, I say, nice big lats, a small waist, and obviously, a nice backside and glutes. And they don't want you being like shredded to the bone in bikini, but they still want you lean. I mean, you need to be lean enough where your glutes have that diamond shape back there.
Right.
You want to see slight hamstring, but you don't want to see guitar string looking hamstring. They don't want to see any veins. Like, they don't want veins up your abs. So it's like, they still want you full, like fuller up top. So that's what I would say bikini is right now. And then obviously it's the presentation too. That is very, very important for bikini. Walking out there, being so confident, like so confident.
Yeah.
And showing your personality within your posing too, because you want to show them a little bit of who you are. And you got to bring a personality side into the posing at the pro level. So it's kind of like almost like a dance in a way, which this is just what I've been experiencing when I competed all last year. So that's why I've been taking this posing like super seriously, because I'm trying to bring some like my personality out on stage.
It's so important. It's an entertainment sport, right? I mean, you see, I'll use men for example, because the Olympia is a little bit more prominent where you see it, but you see the guys out there and they're getting the crowd up and going. Like, you need to have that personality that somebody can connect with. And there's a lot of very talented women out there competing, a lot of great top level bikini competitors. Who is someone that when you first started, you said you started scrolling through Instagram and you saw people competing. Who was the first one that really stood out to you? And are they still the one today that you try to emulate, you try to look up to, you want to kind of be like? Who was that for you?
So the first bikini competitor I was following was actually Ashley Kottwasser, and she's still competing today.
Mm-hmm.
I just really liked her look, because back in the day she used to hit that front stallion pose. Now it's totally different. Like girls are hitting like this side pose in a way. But I really admired her because she was just like me. She was an athlete all of her life. She ran track. I did the 400 meter dash, and she did the 400 meter, but doing the what's it called? The jumping,
the hurdles.
The hurdles, yeah, the hurdles.
Oh god.
So
I don't understand how people do that. Jeez.
I don't know.
I'd fall flat on my face.
I know. I never did the hurdles. My coach had me try to do like the 200 meter, and I was like, I cannot do this. Heck no. But I just was following her, and then she wore green as her competition suit color. So that's why I wore green, because I was kind of, going, oh, I like green. And so that's why I wore green. And then I still look up to her today for sure. I definitely do. I follow her still, and she puts out a lot of great stuff on like her YouTube channel and social media and stuff. So I still, yes.
Awesome. And, you have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to link into this for people to check out. But let's go back to posing real quick for a little bit, because I know you do offer posing, correct, with your coaching and stuff? So obviously if anybody's on here looking for posing, Lauren's your person. Who, if anybody, helps you with your posing? Do you have a posing coach, or is this at this point, what needs to be done, and it's just you filming yourself and making critiques? Like, how do you go about that aspect of competing? Because that's a huge, like we've been talking about, that's a huge aspect.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, like I look at my first shows and I'm actually posing better. Like in my first show that I ever did in 2015, and then looking at the one that I won the overall in the regional show that I did to get qualified for the national shows. And I was actually posing better there because I was just less stressed about the posing. And then started hiring a lot of different people, getting a lot of different opinions. And then I started just like getting super overwhelmed by it. And then it actually looked very stressful up on the stage and what I was doing. So
you didn't feel confident.
No, because I kept getting too many different opinions. So now I don't have a posing coach anymore. Kyle is actually weirdly now very good at the whole bikini posing thing, just because he's been to all of my shows and been to all of the pro shows, and he's actually sitting there watching. When I'm not watching, I'm competing. So he's seen everybody's routine. So over, he's, for this season that I'm doing right now, he's taken control over my posing. And so, yeah.
Well, that's a very valuable tool for him as a male coach to be able to do. He's sitting there watching all your competitions and everything. He's obviously sitting there as a supportive boyfriend, right? And your coach, but he's sitting there as a coach, and he's studying your competition. He's studying you. He's in the thralls of it. So that's a very valuable tool for him as a male coach to be able to work with other female clients in their posing. Because I know with females that I work with, like, I'm not adverse in female posing. I send them elsewhere and everything. So that's a very, very valuable tool for you guys to have as your team Cosmic Bodies tries to grow as, a very strong coaching company in this business and stuff. So yeah, he sits there with a probably a different perspective than you do, even when you're watching it. So
Oh, for sure. And then even when like my like clients will check in, like I'll have them look at his physique, their physique, and he's like, "Oh, she needs to stop doing that right now." And I'm like, "Doing what?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like he catches things that I don't even see sometimes. I'm just like, "Okay, that's great. He really knows."
Yep.
I had help. Kenny Wallach, he did help me for
Oh yeah.
NPC. He helped me for NPC Nationals, which was awesome because he helped me a ton with just how to nail that front pose and the transitions and everything. So I was very blessed that I had his help for that show for sure.
So what are your plans now moving forward? We're in 2020. We're 3 months into 2020 now. Any competitions in the near future? What are your
Yeah.
what are your short-term goals? And then I think it's obvious what your long-term goal is. But how is the rest of 2020 playing out for you? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah. So after I got done competing, it was in August of 2019. I took about 5, 6 months off
Okay.
in an improvement season. My main priority was to get my shoulders healthy. So I went to a PT. He fixed my shoulders. Actually, I go all the time now. I like make it part of
Smart.
my routine here. I need to
Very smart.
continuously see a PT. So I got my shoulders fixed. I actually got a breast augmentation. I ended up getting another breast augmentation to have my boobs actually bigger now because I grew so much
Yep.
that my old boobs they didn't fit my physique anymore. They just did not fit. So
So
I had
just for
that.
reference, what size were you and what size did you go to?
So yeah, I have my breast implants over the muscle. So this could
Okay.
be different for somebody underneath the muscle, but over the muscle I had 200. Oh no, I had 200 cc over the muscle, and now I have 350 over the muscle. And
Okay.
so I went bigger, but they look so much more proportional now on my physique, especially because I grew so much, like in my lats and in my delts and stuff.
Yeah. So probably a good long-term investment for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
And that's what I
and
don't think a lot of people
yeah,
understand, that also is a big part of this if you want to be a bikini pro, because it's about your presentation. It's about proportions, right? And
symmetry, yeah.
you know, not all of us have genetic gifts to go along with the proportions we're trying to build. So, if there is a female listening to this who's wanting to think about making this a very serious career
Mhm.
possibility, or really wanting to get further, it might be something that you want to look into. It might
Mhm.
not, but it is definitely a part of the sport.
Yeah, and I'll straight up tell you, like I got boobs for the sport.
Hmm.
I did. I didn't. If I wasn't competing, I wouldn't have got breast implants. I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got my breast augmentation because of the sport, because I want to be the best, because I want to make it to the top. I mean, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get up there. So
Right.
that's why I did it. Um, so now we're talking about what I've been doing. So I'm now recovered from my breast augmentation. My shoulders are healed. I'm finally getting like shoulder pumps for the first time in my life, like
Yeah.
actually getting belt pump now. It's insane. And I grew. I mean, I'm like, wow, like my shoulders have never looked better. So
Right.
I actually, with Kyle, what we did is we ended up doing a mini cut because I always incorporate mini cuts in my off season. So we incorporated a 4-week mini cut just to
Okay.
clean things up, see how I'm looking. After that 4-week mini cut, we were like, whoa, you look totally different now. Like I looked so much more improved. So we were just like, oh my gosh. And so we were looking at the calendar of like on the shows and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's do it. Let's jump into prep. And I know. And
Nice.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know if I was going to prep. I thought I was going to probably be prepping at the end of this year. But I lost some fat during my mini cut, and I just sometimes you have to lose some body fat to see like the gains and see the true gains.
Get the bigger picture.
Yeah. So then we're like, okay, let's just do it. So we ended up doing a diet break for like 10 days.
Okay.
And then we jumped into contest prep for my show. So currently I'm in prep. I'm not saying what show I'm doing.
Damn, you beat me to it.
I haven't told anybody yet.
I think that's a smart move. I think for a lot of different reasons, but number one is you just talked about it a little bit ago, the stress from posing threw things off a lot. And I think just anytime a competitor's in prep and they add more stress to the situation, it just never ends up good. So I think that's probably a smart move on your part. Plus, you get to shock everybody as soon as you make the announcement.
Yeah, I want everyone to be on their seat. And I want to like keep showing photos and everyone's like, oh, she's getting leaner. So they'll probably figure it out here soon.
Oh, well, I just know, whatever show you pick, you are going to be maximally prepared for. That's just the type of person I know you to be. And I know that, Kyle is the same way. So you guys have a really good teamwork in there. And, I just want to thank you for coming on. This has been great. I hope a lot of people, especially, women that follow this channel, got a lot out of this. And why don't you go ahead and plug a little bit of your stuff, tell people where they can find you. And obviously I'll put it all in the description box below, but.
Yeah. Okay. So you just can search my first and last name because nobody has my last name. It's Dannenmiller. So that's Instagram. It's at Lauren Dannenmiller. YouTube is just search Lauren Dannenmiller on YouTube. What other platforms? That's pretty much it. Like I'm really big on the Instagram and the YouTube. I've documented every single one of my preps, like my nutrition approach. Like I give out my macros. Like I literally last year, I documented every single thing in terms of the cardio, the diet breaks, the refeeds, my training. So if you want to go and watch that, plus show day footage is always fun. And then if you want to contact me, whether that's posing or coaching, it's just teamcosmicbodies@gmail.com. And that is our team. For our coaching is Team Cosmic Bodies.
That's awesome. And like I said, guys, I'm going to throw all that down there in there for you to make it easy. But I really appreciate you coming on. I miss you guys. I wish we could all be back there training again, but we will. I will make the drive over there and we'll get some footage in soon. I'm actually recovering from some injuries too, and just kind of starting to pick the intensity back up. But I wish you well with prep. Are you going to train today or have you already trained?
I got legs today.
Boom. I love it. Go hit a few sets on that leg press for me. All right.
Okay, I will.
All right. Take care, Lauren. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.